Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful in Studio B today with a fun new recycle video. I recorded this video over two different major portions and in two different studios. So I thought I would do a quick introduction and then a more detailed show of all of these at the end, and I'll explain why. When I started the video, it's going to be about using recycled clothing tags that I've been saving for a while, making little tags out of them using my scrap boxes. So the first part of the video, I explain and just show you how I prep those tags so that you could actually do that mass making, just getting them to a certain step. And then that way you would have them to do in a certain style or finish them up and decorate them for a specific project if you have a specific theme. So that was my intention. And I recorded that first portion, and then I decided to turn the camera on while I was just playing. And I did that at probably over a 2-hour period and actually made these tags. It took me 2 hours because I'm really slow. I was just wanting to enjoy myself and listen to music and just kind of try out a lot of different things. So I did that in this portion of the video and sped it up double time to music for you. So it's kind of fun to watch someone just craft, you know, without all the watching them ink and glue and all that. So I kind of sped it up. But for beginners, I'm using different products and things in there that you may not be familiar with. So I've put subtitles showing you, telling you what I'm using, so that if you are an experienced crafter, you'll know what those things are, and that'll just help you know what I used. But then I'm going to do a little bit at the end of the video after the fun part where I'm going to show you each of the different products that I used in case you've never used them. So I'm just going to show those. I'll put links for those down in the description box on a list, so if you are brand new, you'll know what materials I used. And then I'll show you each of these up close and what was used to make them. So that hopefully won't be too long of a thing at the end, but I wanted to do that for beginners so that you can see what these look like up close at the end. And I had actually done 4 more much quicker than the ones that I have in the video. So I'll just, it just kind of gives you a variety of knowing how many details you can add or not. So grab your favorite beverage and we'll get started. I decided I wanted to work on maybe kind of mass making something. So I have all these tags I've been collecting and saving because some of them are really good weights, and they often have like really cute ribbon attached and little cords. Even some of them have these little bulb clips. I've been saving all these things thinking I could recycle them and use them for tags, or at least use these ribbons and things. So I thought today I would play around a little bit, trying to mass make a few things just to get these to at least a next step, if not fully decorated. And that way they'll be ready to go for journaling. So I'm going to kind of take all of these apart. These are all the different little ribbons that were on holding things. And I can reuse those for little ties on tops of my tags. And then I thought I would at least kind of get some of these started just to give you some ideas. Again, you know, I'm kind of aim at beginners, and I'm a beginner. But things that you might not have thought of that you can save. But these can go in my little bin that I keep of, if I can pull it out here, it's getting kind of full at this point, but I just keep, you know, this full of little bits and pieces like that. And I try to start using things before it gets too full because I don't want to now fill up another bin. So I'm going to start using some of these things before it gets wild. So I'm going to this one has like a little tear off thing. And I think I'll just get rid of that. So they're different weights, different thicknesses. This one was so cute already. It's just kind of already in this kind of style. So I might just add a little bit to that and call that one finished. But I think the first thing I want to start doing is I like to make one side writable. These are all kind of shiny. So normally these are not shiny. so these will hold glue okay. Some of these that are really shiny, you may have tried using glue stick or something like that, and they don't all stick. I know Mod Podge I've used on things like this, and it doesn't always stick. So if you are concerned that this is too slick and the glue won't even stick, you can just rough it up with a little bit of sandpaper. Or if you want to use gesso, also kind of preps the surface. So if you're concerned about that, you know, you can gesso over it. So I may just hit a couple of these that are super duper shiny. Okay, now I think I'm going to get a piece of book page and just grab some of these first ones. Now, I don't know, things might show through depending on what I want to cover them. I don't really want, you know, the words and things to show through. So just kind of maybe be aware of your paper that you're using if you can see anything through. That might not. This is kind of dark and some contrast. So maybe I'll try one. I'm just going to put something over it to make it kind of cute and writable. So I've got these scraps of kind of graph paper and different things. So I think I'm going to just see how this goes to get one side on. And I'm not going to worry. The hole on this one is kind of in the middle. I'm going to just kind of forget that hole is there. And if I want to make a hole on the top, then I'll do that. So I'm just going to lay it on here. And then I can trim them off later. Using my big long scissors that I just got that I really like. And if you don't have garment tags like this and you just want to make tags even out of these scraps, you can just double them up, you know, put some book page on the other side just to make them thicker, and then even decoupage on the back of that. So I just, once you get into this whole junk journaling thing, you'll find out that you all of a sudden save everything that you may not have saved before. So there is one. And if you want, you can go ahead and even, you know, clip off the corners to make that look like a tag. Maybe you have a tag shaped, either you can just, you know, clip them with scissors, kind of eyeball it, and then use that for the other side. That's kind of the easy, no tools way to do it. So you kind of have a tag shape, or maybe you have a die that does a tag shape. I have one that actually will punch a hole and do a kind of a scallopy shape. So maybe on some of them, I even could use that. But I'm just going to kind of try to use minimal tools, minimal anything today, just to kind of use up some of this stuff. The other thing that you can do is, if you don't have long scissors that you can get that trimmed off perfectly nice, you can also then, if you want to rough them up, take an emery board, and that will kind of clean up any uneven bits, or even rough them up so that when you put your distress oxide or anything around, you're going to have that little bit of distressed paper. And that way you'll see when we do a distressing on that, that also kind of helps take the ink a different way, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave those for now, though, before I ink them or anything, because I want to do something on the other side. So let's see with these. So for the other side, you can do lots of things. You can collage on them with all your scraps. I actually have a couple boxes going. Some of them have more neutrals. I kind of need to go through and sort. And some have a lot of painted papers or even some larger scraps that would be nice background. Oh, here's some more of that. So I need to kind of, I think maybe after this video, I'll sort through my scraps and see if I put all the colorful ones in one, kind of maybe organize them. So you could, you know, just start with a background of something like these and then build on that just for background. So some of these papers have been painted and would make nice backgrounds. So look through your scrap box, even just old book page. Maybe you want it to be book page. So I'll pull out some of these that might be good for tag backgrounds. Some music sheet would be good. Let's see what else I have. There's another thin dictionary page painted. Then you can even take, you know, maybe you have some digitals that you have just smaller pieces of, that I just love these, and these are nice for backgrounds too. So let's see what I can pull in here from the sizes that I have. And then just get a background. I don't even have to build on that now. I can, you know, collage over the whole thing, or just start with that. And that's the beginning of a tag, you know, and then that way, when I know where it's going, I can maybe add to that. So I'm going to just start with a few of these just to get some backgrounds on them too. So now I have quite a few started tags with the backing on them, and then just a base that I can then collage on more or do whatever. But now I have, you know, several tags that have been reinvented garment tags. So I'm gonna maybe grab one of these or a couple of these and maybe take a look at one of my next pages that I might be able to use these in. So grab any of your recycled, you know, things, and at least do that first step of getting them ready for your future journal projects. Hello, so I am back. You can see my table looks a little different. I am actually a week later. I did not post this video because I had to end it abruptly. And so I decided to bring what I had on my table with me. So I filled this envelope with all the little goodies that were on my work table and brought them with me to Studio B. So I am here today with these little tags. I actually had done another step, and I'll kind of show you. I started working on them and I thought, oh, I better turn the camera on and finish that video. So I went ahead and I used my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide and just went around the edges. I did round the corners of the bottoms with my little We Are Memory Keepers corner punch. And what I do is I kind of use the smaller one for smaller size tags. And then I use the medium one a lot for something maybe this size. And then I kind of, you know, just whatever your eye, you know, wants to do. But that's kind of what I do, do the smaller, for the smaller tag. So I did that, and, you know, then did around all the edges just to kind of get some distressing going. And then I also used my crocodile. I just have this little one. It has the 2 different sizes. If you're new to this is also from We Are Memory Keepers. And it has 2 sizes of punch. This is kind of an expensive tool, so if you're a beginner and don't have one of these, it took me a long time to break down and buy one. I'm glad I did. I do use it. If you've watched some of my older videos before I had this tool, I don't have it here with me, but I had just a little, kind of just a little manual eyelet setter, and that you just use with a hammer. It works fine too, but this one also does the punches. So it has a smaller size and a larger size. I tend to use the smallest size the most. And then you can buy eyelets from We Are Memory Keepers that fit these. Then I've also just bought them, you know, in bulk from another company, and they work just as well. So I have gone and put eyelets. I just think that little detail, you know, it makes it look just a little fancier, I guess, and more durable. And it's just that one little added touch. You know, I'm always saying this, the more layers you add, the more finished and rich something looks. Now, obviously, you don't have to do that. You don't have to have these, but it's just one more little added thing to add to your list, your want list of things to get if you're just starting out. So I've done that to all the tags that I had started the other day. I know I did this on fast forward. It was a really thick tag. I was not able to use my corner punch on it. So I just kind of used scissors. They're not even if you really looked at them, just to kind of clip the corners. And then I used an emery board to kind of just file them rounded. So I could work on this one a little bit more. I kind of don't have it looking great, but you know, it's a junk journal, so it doesn't need to be perfect. But I thought this thickness would be a nice book plate, maybe on the front cover of a book, and then you can even add another layer on top of it. The paper that I used for this one was a piece of embossed book page that I had done back, I think, for the Bodhi journal. So it was just a scrap I had left, so I really like that. But that might be a nice book plate on the front of a book, even though I've already put paper on the other side. So I'm going to set that one aside. In the meantime, I decided, you know, I'm in Studio B and I have a whole bin of garbage here. I should call it junk, I guess. I saved it from the garbage. So I have more tags. I found another one of these. And I have actually a whole bigger box of tags I had been collecting here. These are just a few. So one of the things I mentioned earlier in this video was to use gesso. And these tags, I decided to go ahead and use some gesso, mostly because the printing on the other side, these were from a different store, and it was white with the dark lettering, and you could see it through much more than the previous one. So on this one, you can see I did take my white gesso, and I actually just went over both sides a couple coats. It's not completely covered, but I wanted to tone it down so that if I use, you know, some kind of white lined paper, it still might show through a little bit, but I can go over it with more gesso if I want. But I've kind of tended for these to use something like this that's a little darker. If you're going to collage over it with a pattern paper, you know, you're probably not going to see it. And honestly, for me, I don't always mind that you see the hint of what it was behind there, because then it's just a reminder that you recycled something. So I don't always mind that. So I've prepared some more, these tags with, again, just the back. This was actually the back of a check register. I did, in the meantime, sort through my scraps. So I have one box that's all neutrals and my lined paper scraps, just so they're handy to do on the back side. So I had an old check register that I hadn't even written on, and I had coffee stained it, so I just threw some of those in there too, just because this is where I usually come to find papers for the backs of my cards. So I brought that box, and then I brought the box now that is actually more full with all the scraps. There's still some neutrals in here, but there's mostly colorful things. hand-painted things. I've even gotten some magazine pieces that I tear out of magazines that are, you know, from clothing or bedding that's floral patterns and that sort of thing. So I'll be digging through those. The other thing that I had here in Studio B that I had forgotten, before I brought some stamps with me, I think the last time I was here. And so I took some rice paper and just stamped all over some rice paper just so that I would have some kind of tissue-y collage papers, just random things that I would have to use since I don't have a lot of embellishment type things here. So I have some of those that I might tear up and use too. So I've caught you up on where I've left off. I have these, I have more. I just want to, you know, kind of sit and, you know, add some different things. If you're, you know, if you're a beginner, sometimes it's fun to watch someone actually collage to see how they might put things together. So this one, I've already done one where I took, you know, just a piece, a little scrap of my hand-painted papers and another little scrap of something. And then I have found a few embellishments in there. I think it's mostly laziness. If I've had a few things out like this, just a couple, I end up tossing them in my scrap bin instead of putting them back where they belong. So I did have a few things. Some of these I brought. I found these cute little trays. I did go to my favorite little stores. That's probably what I've been doing more since I've been here than crafting, is going to all my little vintage stores I like while I'm here in Paso Robles. And I got these cute little trays from my friend Connie at Anthology. And she loves to travel, and she had picked these up in Mexico. So I actually got 2 of them. And I just think they're great for holding your little tiny, trying to keep my table organized a little bit with just a place to put my little scraps. So I'm just going to play a little bit here and see what I can put together and see if I can get some of these finished. So I'll put some music on, and we'll just craft a little bit here, and I'll kind of chat with you again here in a little bit. Okay, so now that I have all of my tags finished, I actually did a few more, like I said, and I want to show you what I used to make these and show them up close. But first, I think I'll just show you the products real quick, so that you'll know. So the glue stick I used for this one was the Yoo-hoo stick, and I will put a link down below. I had not used this one before. I've used lots of different glue sticks, but I was wanting to try one based on recommendations that I asked for in one of my videos, and I am liking this. Reminds me a lot of the Scotch brand. So Yoo-hoo glue stick. And then I'm also using a couple other glues you'll see me grab. This one's called Quick Glue. It's from the lamp shop. I used to make lampshades. I really like this glue a lot. They used to have a website that I don't believe is functional anymore, but they do have an Etsy shop. I don't know if it's called the lamp shop, but it is this glue. So I'll put a link for that below, but that's through Etsy. I also used some Fabri-Tac glue. This is a clear glue. When it dries, it's kind of reminds me of rubber cement, where you can kind of roll off any extra, but it's really good for fabric. So I use that to adhere some little fabric in kind of gauzy bits. So I used that. I also used my art glitter glue just a little bit. It has a nice little fine tip nozzle, and I use that. It's really good at attaching embellishments and that sort of thing. So I used some of that. I also used a little bit of glitter glue, just a cheap glitter glue pen. These just came in a little bundle. So I used that for some little rhinestones that you'll see me use in one of the tags. And I wanted a little bit of the glittery around the rhinestones, but one of them was coming loose, and I had to actually use my art glitter glue to glue it down. So this takes a while to dry too, which is kind of the downside. I used that. I used a corner punch from We Are Memory Keepers. I'll put a link down below. I love this one. I used some acrylic ink in sepia. You could also use, this was just something that I had here. I wanted to do some splatters that would kind of fade into the background. You could use acrylic paint and just water it down, but that will make your splatters more visible, whereas the ink will kind of dissolve into your project a little bit more and be more like a water stain. So I used a color called sepia. It comes in different colors, but some acrylic ink. I used some of my favorite, where is it? Sparkle spray. Where'd you go? Here we go. From Imagine, Sheer Shimmer Sparkle Spray. I use this a lot. It's a really fine sparkle. It didn't show up in this video, I know. I sprayed it on the little wish tag. It's really fine. You see it in real life more than it shows on camera, but recently I did do a video and it showed up really well on camera. So if you've never used it, I love that. That's kind of a go-to thing. I also used Distress Oxide and Vintage Photo. You can use any other color. That's what I used for the distressing around the edges. That and a little dauber. You can also use a makeup sponge. So I'm kind of showing you some products. I'm gonna, whenever I think about it, tell you an alternative if you don't own a certain part, you know, something you can use in a pinch. To smooth out wrinkles and things, I use just an old credit card. Those are just handy to have. They'll work as like a bone folder if you don't have a bone folder, which is, you know, something that you use to crease down things. You can use that, but this is great because any excess glue you don't get on this. So credit card. My long scissors that I like, these are not the brand that I was using in the other video. Those were Tim Holtz scissors, and I really love those. They can be right or left-handed, and you can get them in different lengths. They're really long. I love those. At this studio, I have this pair. For the little, for a little kind of on the wish tag, I did a little decal edge. When I first started out, I didn't have any decorative edge scissors, but I had these pinking shears. These will work for a lot of things. So if you just move them, you cut, move it a little bit, cut, move it a little bit, cut, it gave me that little deckled edge. I do faux stamps where I'll do cut and then just move it over or lined up just so that your little triangles are closer together like an actual perforated stamp. So that's something you can use. For tearing, I used a plastic ruler here. I prefer a metal ruler, but I don't have one here. So anything with just a sharp edge, a metal ruler, a plastic ruler. Also, if you wanted to get a decal edge and you don't have like a tearing ruler like this, these are from We Are Memory Keepers. I've used these a lot, and I didn't use it in this video, but to get that same kind of decal edge like the scissors will do, you can use a tearing ruler. You can also make a tearing ruler. If you take your aluminum foil box or any kind of box that has that perforated edge and save that, just that edge, then that will be a good tearing thing too. And if you want to sturdy it up because it's just on a little cardboard, glue a paint stir stick to that cardboard edge, and then it'll give you something to hold on to do your tears. So I'll show that maybe in another video, but I don't have that here either. Okay, products. What else did I use? I used embossing powder. This is clear transparent embossing powder. There's different brands, so I like to use the clear one. What it does is it gives your, like I do it on clock faces a lot, it gives it like an enameled clock face. Just adding different textures. I could have done it on the butterfly too. it gives just an extra texture and interest. I did it on just the letters Wish, where I just outlined the letters and did that too. So clear embossing powder. There are clear embossing pads that you could use with that. And that would be like this clear ink, so that you can use like an ink stamp or a stamp like you would, you know, stamping anything, and then emboss that. So that's this is handy for that. But when you just want to get a little area, or like the letters, you can get these emboss it pens from Ranger, and it usually comes with a black one and a clear one. So that's what this is, and that way you can just do the letters or some small detail. I used that, and then I used a Stabilo All pencil, what we call it. Where did it go here? And this is aquarellable. So what that means is it's a pencil, like a graphite pencil, but it will let you highlight and then use a water pen. Or you can just use a little paintbrush if you don't have a water pen. This is just something for your list. It just fills with water, and it's great for watercolor pencils or anything like that. So it's just a way to shade and shadow an edge, because this is water soluble. So you want to look for that aquarellable. But I will put links to these below also. If you don't have that, you have the pencil or a watercolor pencil, you could use a colored pencil. Then you would maybe even just use just a tiny little paintbrush, just a regular paintbrush that you've dipped in water, and that'll work too. And what else did I use? Let's see, I'm probably forgetting something, but I think that was a lot. I used the Crocodile. This is from We Are Memory Keepers. A Crocodile is a punch and eyelet setter. I didn't say that very clearly in the video. So it has two sizes to punch your hole. You can look through the little hole and see where you want to line up. And then this has a rotating thing depending on what size of eyelet you're going to be using. So these are handy. Like I said in the video, they're expensive. So watch for a 40% off coupon or something like that. But I'm really happy that I have that. I also kind of showed these a little bit. These are also from We Are Memory Keepers, I think. I'm not sure. You can get hole punches in different sizes. So for that little clock face, I used corresponding size holes to punch the little holes that were in my digital. So that is that. As far as materials to do these, I just used scraps. Mostly scraps from, so everything pretty much is recycled on here. A few of the little embellishments, this was from my own digital that I have. I will put it down below. This was a little ticket that I had. These little butterflies, I made these so you could make your own embellishments if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of little embellishments. I just took some book page, and then I do have a stamp with some various butterflies. I stamped them, and then I just used some watercolors, just a cheap set of watercolors. You can get any kind. These are just a little portable size, and just color those in. You could use watercolor pencils or crayons, anything like that. If you get something that's water soluble, it's nice because you can then use a water pen or a paintbrush and blend your colors really well. So these were all just little handmade embellishments. You can also find digitals. I have purchased a few more recently now. So we call these fussy cuts if you're just starting out. Here's another butterfly that I had done. But you can buy digitals online. So, you know, I was here at home in a pinch working on this, and had I wanted something I didn't have, I could have just purchased a download, printed it out, cut it out, and I have some little fussy cut embellishments. So some of these other ones are not. These are Tracy Fox's labels, and then she's got a bunch that have numbers already, but if you have some stamps, you can stamp those. That was my intention, was to use these and put little words and quotes of stamps that I have. I just haven't done it yet. But that, in a pinch, you can also just, I have some little round, different size round punches. You can just get some of your painted papers or scraps and punch circles, and then use those, and maybe you doodle around those a little flower or something like that. So you can make up your own little final embellishments if you need to, if you don't have anything. So let me go through quickly, hopefully, all the tags that I did so that you can kind of see them up close. So I had started a different one, and then I grabbed this one because, you know, I would start on something and maybe couldn't kind of make a decision, so I'd grab a different one and then just get something going. So this one had a little bit of a die cut piece of lace border, and this was one of the fussy cuts. I used half of it, half of a clock face, a little ticket. You saw me do all that, and one of my little butterflies. So other than that, everything in that background was that just piece of scrap paper that I had started with. And then this one was one that I had done previously, so it just actually had that main background that I had done, and then just 3 little things. So that was a really quick one too, and then adding a cute ribbon to the top. What else I did? This little one. This was just a piece of painted, splatter painted paper, a piece of tissue paper that had words on it, a little scrap of burlap, and some cheesecloth that had been dyed. Just wadded that up and used my Fabri-Tac, and then that little bee embellishment was like a Tim Holtz thing that I had in there. And then this was just a little bit of kind of netting, that kind of netting tulle ribbon, I guess it is. And then just a piece of my grungy rusted scrim and some kitchen twine that this had all been previously dyed, and just little scraps in my, you know, in just this little scrap bin. So keep scrap bins, and just you'll find little pieces to use for all your little toppers of your tags. And then this one was kind of hard to see in the video, but that was a piece of that tulle. I just wanted kind of a texture back there because I really like this paper. A little piece of music tissue paper, a little tag that was from a fussy cut from a digital kit, an actual stamp that I had, and that was where I used the glitter glue and little rhinestones. And then this was a little piece of embossed kind of thick paper that I had a scrap of, and I had just cut out a circle of that, so you can kind of see that it's embossed. And then because it's embossed, when I used the dauber over it, it kind of highlighted all those the embossing on that. So this again, just a little piece of scrappy tulle. And then this is kind of like also a tulle, I guess you'd call it, like a little netting fabric, just for some texture on that one. And then let's see, what else did I do? This one in the video, just a strip of some hand painted paper scrap. These pieces back here, these really grungy looking pieces, when I take apart old books, behind the spine is this kind of it's kind of like the scrim that I use, and that's all been glued down to a book. So when you rip all that off, sometimes you get some of the actual spine remains or glue. And I love grunge, so I save those, and so that's what that is. This was part of one of a digital. I think this was from the French Chateau that I use a lot. And then these are just one of Tracy Fox's little tags with another little piece from a digital glued on top of that. And then I just took a pen in the video and just made so that it looks like little rivets in the corners. I really wanted to grunge this one up, so I used my vintage photo a lot. So you kind of saw me maybe come back and actually get this little fabric bits and stuff and just really dirty that up. And then just a piece of my kitchen twine, rusted kitchen twine. And then let's see, these I did after the camera was off, but another one of the French Chateau scraps, a piece of that little die cut lace, little piece of vintage music paper. This is from one of the fussy cuts that I have, just, you know, little embellishments. And again, another little butterfly. And then this is from some sari silk. If you don't know what sari silk is, it's S-A-R-I. It's from saris, not S-O-R-R-Y. And it's just little silk bits, and then I've ripped that up and used that as the tag. That's sari silk is a fun thing. You can find bundles of it on Etsy and that kind of thing. Then this was another really quick one that I did. Just another couple of strips of painted fabric on book page. This was another little, the numbers were another little piece of tissue I did on top of that. This little piece here is when you rip pages out of notebooks. I just love this little strip. So I save these even though they're all ripped, because when you glue them down, it just makes kind of a nice little pattern. And then another little, this was just a die cut. I think, I call it a die cut. I didn't die cut it. It's just a little butterfly, probably from Tim Holtz or something like that. Another one, another quick one, piece of music paper, one of Tracy Fox's labels with some numbers I had stamped onto tissue paper or rice paper. I think I showed that as something I might use. And then just little scraps. Here's another little scrap from a magazine. And then this wood-looking piece back here, again, is some paper, one of the layers when you rip a spine off of an old book. And that was just done on that, if you recall from the video, just that kind of blue and white piece of the French Chateau scrap that I had on that. And then again, some vintage lace that was already kind of dyed that color. And then this last one is a piece of vintage lace. On the whole backing was the music paper one, painted paper scrap. This flowers is a piece from actually Junk Journal July from Meg's Journals. She had done the calendar and had some cute design around it, and I cut my calendar down, and then, or my prompt list down, and I think this was one of the embroidered little flower things she had on there. And a piece of tissue paper. The other half of that clock I tore apart, and then just some vintage kind of ribbon. So you can see, you know, a bunch of cute little tags, which, you know, if they don't go in any of my particular journals, you can see all the styles are a little bit different. But, you know, they would even be really cute as just gift tags, you know, make a little longer thing and attach it to a gift. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, click on the button. And if you'd like notifications when I do post something new, hit the little bell and you'll get a notification. So I hope you enjoyed this fun little recycle project. Have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.